Alright, hello everybody, and welcome back to Limitless Qualifier Free, sponsored by PCA this time as well. My name is Jesper Eriksson, and with me I have Martin Wagner. What's up, Martin?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's always a pleasure to be here to watch these tournaments on the weekend. You know, you have nothing else to do. Watch some high-level Pokemon and see some of the best players. Test out the new cards. I'm super hyped for the new format, and yeah, we have for round two. We I think the variety in like the player nationality is really exciting, and we have a player from Japan, Yoshiyuki, who has been on stream before, versus Viktor from Hungary, which is super interesting to see like those nationalities go against each other.
Yeah, especially, I don't think we'd ever seen a Hungarian versus a Japanese player in any sort of tournament before. Maybe Worlds, but not on stream at least. We haven't seen that concoction of nationalities mixed up together against each other, and it's going to be really interesting to see what Yoshiyuki and Viktor are backing for this tournament, essentially, because Yoshiyuki has had success in these qualifiers, and Japanese people are really playing well in these limitless qualifiers, you can say, with a Japanese winner as late as the last one.
Yeah, they have dominated the top 8 at the last qualifier. That was super crazy to watch, and so you can really see that they are the kings of this format. Best of one, 25 minutes. They
That is the
kind of
Japanese Champions League format, and they are experts when it comes to this. We are in Europe and in US. We are usually we're used to playing 50 minutes best of three, and then therefore there may be, how can I say, more slowish type of play sometimes where it's more thoughtful. But these Japanese players, they're fast and they know what they're doing with these
yeah.
games.
And it looks like we're going into the game right now, and it looks like Yoshiyuki is playing control, and just by I've heard you're an expert at control decks, so it's going to be really interesting, right, to see control adapt to a new format, as it always is, right?
Yeah, I always love to see control, and I always love to see these new concoctions of control, whatever these players are fizzling up with. And control has been my deck for this season as well, and has been a trusty partner. And I think control has also been a trusty partner to many of these Japanese players who are infamous for running these Oranguru style decks with either Macargo or even Chinchino.
Yeah, we saw Makago Mill really perform well, especially Shintaro performed really well at the last two qualifiers with it. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting how the control decks will adapt in this meta. And Victor is playing a straight Zacian build, so no ADP this time. I think that's an adaptation that's quite easy to make if you think about the new format, right? Zacian is like if you build it straight, then you have then your deck becomes a lot less clunky. And we also saw like other players have success with the straight Zacian build, and he's playing the Jirachi Prism Star Mr. Mime combo to take extra prize cards if he needs to.
Yeah, and that's why, like, he loses the ADP effect, but that Jirachi Mr. Mime combo really works wonders when it comes to him needing the ability to take extra prizes whenever he gets a knockout. And it's going to be interesting here. Usually ADP is really good against control decks because that puts them on a lesser of a clock. But you see here, Gumi into the active and an Intrepid Sword for him to charge up his hand. Something that control before did not have was Intrepid Sword, but now, of course, Intrepid Sword is awesome for these decks when they have to charge up their hand to be able to lock their opponent in the later stages of the game.
Yeah, you also apply so much pressure in a way where you just sit there and you can build your hand for free every turn, and the more cards you give control, the easier it will be for them to choke you out of the game.
Yeah,
So
especially that. Like, the more cards control have in their hand, the more you can be sure of they're going to lock you at some point of the game. And getting locked by control is not the funniest part of the game, I can tell you that. But I'm not used to being locked. I'm used to be the guy who locks people. So, from my perspective, this is going well enough for Yoshiyuki, but he needs to get another basic Pokemon down to evolve, because Ditto, he needs more than just Ditto in play to
yeah,
work out a strategy really well.
yeah, maybe just he's maybe looking to stall out some turns with a few Pokédolls, for example, because especially because it's hard for the Zacian to take back to back, because of the switching requirement, and also there we see the Jirachi Prism Star just flashing it, searching it out of the deck. Also the Gumi makes it kind of hard.
Yeah, he
To
needs an
take
extra
off
energy to attack, so
Yeah.
it's gonna take a bit more time. But he goes for Blade Blade, Brave Blade, 4 energies. Goodbye, Gumi, and it's like just gonna push up the Ranguru. Has the balloon attached, but Yoshiyuki's hand looks really, really horrible right now. He's likely just gonna have to quick ball for a Pokemon to sacrifice, and then try to boss order something up to maybe stick it. And that's not a situation that Yoshiyuki ever wants to sit in. He wants to be drawing cards, thinning out his deck, be ready to lock. But right now, he's not going to be able to.
There you see Quick Ball. I'm not even sure what you go here. Yeah, I think Minchino is fine, and then you
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know, because now you don't have something that you really want to leave in the active. I guess the Ranger was fine because you don't need it right now.
Yeah.
But it always feels kind of bad to lose your Pokemon with the air balloon attached to it.
Yeah, so he loses a pivot point here, which is really important for these decks that maybe want to play down a doll and then retreat into it. It makes the game a bit tougher for Yoshiyuki, but you see he's playing this style of control that I think it was Brazilian guy Leandro. He played in one of the first Limitless qualifiers. I think it was qualifier 1 or 2, where he was playing just like he would play with Pidgey or Angru. He was just playing Cincino instead, and I think that's much like the deck Yoshiyuki's bringing today.
Yeah,
Um,
it really seems similar to that. One really, really interesting inclusion is there's a Delcatty. I'm not really sure what it does. I would need to look it up for now, but I think it's a Delcatty that gets 2 supporter cards from your discard pile back to your hand if you
yeah,
evolve it.
exactly. And that's where if you play down Delcatty, you're it's so much easier to get like the lock, because then he doesn't have to resource management into it. He essentially only needs resource management to get his stamps and his chip ice axe.
Yeah, and I guess you can, if you like, you can reuse the Delcatty with the scoop up net. You can just put it back into your hand and then bench it.
Exactly.
So you can just recycle supporters from your discard pile on consecutive turns. So.
Yeah, that means you don't have to use resource management for supporters, but instead other lock cards and other controlling cards in the aspect of this. So Yoshiyuki has more way of dealing with certain pressure than the decks had before Delcatty had.
Yeah, there we saw a boss's order on the Zacian, taking it out, knocking out the draw support. Maybe, Viktor is trying to force Yoshiyuki to bench a second Zacian, so he has an easier road to take his full 6 prizes. And yeah, I'm not really sure. Probably, I mean, if your Zacian gets knocked out and you don't have any backup to draw cards like we see here, then it becomes really tough because you're essentially bricking, and it's not a position that we want to be in. And Yoshiyuki debating if he wants to go for the Articuno right now. I think combining the stamp down plus the Articuno on the only attacking threat on Victor's board is a really strong play, but you risk a lot by benching.
Yeah, that too, and it's dependent on how many metal saucers Victor's use, because if he just goes for a round where he just goes double metal saucer attach, it's going to be really, really hard. But I do like the Articuno play he's going to swing here, trying to pull Victor into finding all these metal saucers to be able to knock out this Articuno next turn, and he's going to try and pressure a bit back at Victor, but it depends on Victor's hand. He has 2 cards in hand only, though, so this might be a really successful play if he can get to it, really.
Yeah, comes down to this one. If you are able to draw out of that. I mean, he got, Yoshiyuki also got the Chip Isaac, so that's at least a good start. But there's the research, so Victor will at least be able to refresh his hand, draw a whole bunch of cards, maybe even switch out of the active and Metal Saucer, if he gets that. But certainly he has a whole ton of options available to him once again.
Yeah, at least he has more options with 2 cards than they had with more options with 7 cards than they had with 2 before. And we have to see what Victor gets. He's already trying to charge up this station, so it's for Yoshiyuki right now. It's all about getting this Articuno away from the active spot, so it
There
doesn't
we see
end up like a
Jirachi.
sitting duck.
Oh no, there's the Mr. Mime plus Oranguru. That's always scary. If you if something goes into the prize, you don't know if it's the Jirachi prison, right? You might as well just could have drawn into the Jirachi prison, put it into the prizes, and if you get a knockout here, then and draw the Jirachi, that would be game. But there is certainly a lot to ask for, but it's still possible. So,
yeah, definitely. We have to see what Victor gets from his prize here with the Mr. Mime as well, and it's really interesting. These Mr. Mime techs haven't been used in physical formats. We haven't seen it a lot, but lately this more speed station deck has been more prevalent in these best of one tournaments. Of course, since station's so aggressive on its own, and being able to have these metal saucers as a patch for them, this makes them way faster. And in best of one, breaking versus a station deck, you're going to be under a ton of pressure really fast.
yeah, at least there's a crushing hammerheads being able to deny some energy. Maybe we see even a gust on the station to not make it accessible by metal saucers.
Yeah, that would be really smart, and that's what he does. That's a really good play by Yoshiyuki, denying another way of Victor's to get energy onto station. And yeah, like if you look at it right now, it looks more like Yoshiyuki has gotten this under control, if you could say so, and he's trying to slowly but surely build up his board to the point where Victor's gonna get locked. Because Victor's have free prize cards. Once he gets down to 2, he's in the danger zone of getting locked.
Yeah, the sad thing is you could have intrepid sorted the last 2 turns if you just had access to that station, right? You would have been at 8 cards instead of 2. That would be really nice, but
yeah, and giving these extra options here. But right now we need Yoshiyuki to draw and Cincino at least.
Yeah.
It's
sometimes
on if he gets
really
it.
unfortunate if you don't play those hard draw supporters like additional copies of Marnie or Cynthia. You just can't afford it in control, right? Then you sometimes break with the just 4 research and monetization, even though it's really unlikely. Sometimes it just happens.
Yeah, but I think Victor did the perfect play for that scenario where he just knocked out the lone station, and you never, as a control player, want to play down the second station because that is still a sitting duck on the bench, especially now with boss orders and format. It's getting really dangerous to put down these second Pokemon V that's getting one hit knocked out by Station V, so...
Yeah, boss order just making the bench very easier to access, and I think now the Jirachi Prism play is no longer an option because... Oh no, there's Scoop Up Net, never mind. Martin, read the cards from the new format. I was about to say there's no bench space, but obviously we have Scoop Up Net, so that doesn't matter.
Yeah, so you can always make space for it.
Delcatty for the Search and Mars, just drawing some extra cards. There's an hit on the Metal Saucer, that's really important.
Yeah, and that's one of Victor's way to get energy back, but of course he doesn't have a station on bench, so the Metal Saucer right now wasn't really influential, but it's really good to discard these energy exploration cards from Victor to slow him down further and further and lead him to only having attachments from hand and Intrepid Sword.
Yeah, and the second station is priced, I think, for Yoshiyuki right there. So that's
very likely. Yeah,
but also Victor's only left at at 6 cards in his deck. So
yeah, this game's already been really grindy for Victor. He's tired a lot of resources, but the question is, can Victor just deck out like this, without Yoshiyuki even having to lock him?
I mean, that's sometimes an option, right? If your opponent plays aggressively enough and you're like, okay, fine, I just try to mill aggressively and not even try to lock you. That's the flexibility that just a single copy of Belelba and Search combined with the Delcatties allow you to do, right? You can easily go for Search double Belelba if you have access to it, but right now it doesn't look like Yoshiyuki has access.
One of the cards that Yoshiyuki is really wishing for is really that Belelba and Bryson Man, because that will put Victor under so much pressure. You just see You see there, it's 5 cards. It's 2 below bombardments away. Or it's really just 1 and then a bit of draw passing and then Victor's done for.
And there's no switch to the bench, no extra attachment with Metal Saucer from Victor, so we just see a pass. Smart, not deciding to not use the Intrepid Sword.
Yeah, I think
would...
using Intrepid Sword would kind of be wishing to lose here.
Yeah.
That would just lead him to lose to just a single below bombardment instead of having to have the combo if he wants to win right now. But of course, Yoshiyuki does not have below bombardment in hand. But how would Victor know if Yoshiyuki's just been sitting on it?
Yeah, just a draw pass out there from Yoshiyuki. Really, really what you hate to see. I mean, usually you would be if you would not be bricking, right? If your opponent is at like 6 cards in deck after 5 turns, you would feel great as the control player. So I think if that game would have played out in a way where both players... Oh, there's just another draw pass again. Oh my god.
And I think it's also going to be another draw pass from Yoshiyuki again. But
Yeah.
Yoshiyuki is still sitting in a fine spot. Victor's deck is very low on cards, and the only thing that could save him at some point is potentially Marnie next turn.
I think there are already 8 metal energies in Victor's Iska pile and 2 attached to the Zacian, so there's only 1 metal energy left. For Victor.
Yeah, we also have to see how many metal saucers has been used. There's at least 2, yeah. Potentially 3 has been used, so Victor's acceleration is really getting low.
Yes. So it's not over yet for Yoshiyuki, and also Victor's down to 3 cards. If he doesn't play Mani, if he has any left. I don't believe he has any. Oh, he has 1 left. If there's no Mani, then you are easily in range of just... If your opponent top decks a Belelba, then you just instantly lose, and you don't want to risk that, of course.
Play.
Also 3 switches and 3 scoop up nets down, so there's a lot of resources in Victor's discard pile.
Yeah, and like, I don't think the Speed Station deck is very prepared for a long game as ADP decks could be.
Yeah, you just want to end the game as quickly as possible and draw extra prizes with the Jirachi combo if you can. And because you're so linear, you set up very quickly usually, but sometimes you just have those painful discards and you have to throw away a lot of resources. And yeah, the early game didn't look too strong, or like Victor had the attack for 4 energy on the Gumi, but then the GX attack really punished that attachment. And
yeah, and we have to say
acceleration.
Yeah, us really thinking about whether Yoshiyuki should or should not have used Articuno. We're wrong. He definitely should have, and he did. And right now, Yoshiyuki is sitting in a very fine spot to take this round 2 in the Limitless Qualifier 3. And the question is just what Victor can do with the resources he has left. It doesn't look like he has a lot, and by that, it's looking very dull for Victor here.
Yeah, I mean, you essentially have to get your like last switch and a metal saucer, or you have to get your last energy to even be able to attack. So no matter what, you will be in a really tough situation. And yeah, now we see all the scoop up nets in the discard pile. Of course, we don't know what's priced at Victor's side. If there's like the last switch and the metal source are priced, or like the last energy is priced, then that's also like that plays a huge factor in this game. And with that, we just see research. So I guess the last energy was in the price cards, and the last switch as well.
That is very unfortunate for Victor, though. But
it's really unlucky. Oh my god.
What can he do? That just happens sometimes we're playing Pokemon, right? And Yoshiyuki takes the win without actually getting a real setup this game. Yoshiyuki takes it down. That Articuno GX being the main player, and that GX attack, yeah, we can call Articuno the winner here, even though the PGO says it's Orangu that wins this for Yoshiyuki. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's Articuno taking this game.
Yeah, I agree on that as well. Yeah, if sometimes if your opponent is a little bit too aggressive, you can just punish that just with the pieces that you dealt without even having a real setup. So
we have to think about it as well. Yoshiyuki did not have a real setup at all.
I
He
think we
never,
just draw a total of like, 15 cards this game in total.
yeah, but he never had a comfortable setup with
Yeah,
like him
yeah,
sitting and like I can use Station every turn and using Cinchino every turn. No, he had basically nothing in terms of setup, and he still won this game, and that just shows how strong and how flexible control is in this situation here.
Yeah, I really like the combination of like Gumi and Articuno because Gumi forces more early energy attachments that you can punish later with the Articuno. So that
Yeah,
combo really worked out this game.
and that is so smart by Yoshiyuki. I'm 100% sure that he would likely be thinking about this matchup or ADP station and thinking that Gumi just punishes more. It gets another energy discarded, and if you get discard 1 energy, you're 1 energy closer to your opponent just being stuck. And Viktor was essentially stuck
Yeah,
for
also
a
price
long
cards
period of time.
hurting him a little bit, but still, yeah, and I think that's it for round 2, I guess. I'm not sure if we have time to go for another game, but this game took quite a while, so I think we just be back with round 3.
Yes, and we will see you by then. And yeah,